This would be the night to really look for those twos and attacking.
Yo, what is going on?
Dallas decided not to guard their own basket.
The Warriors are inbounding under the Dallas basket. You saw Looney start to run the other way, and then he realizes, wait, we have a layup. But
I'm sure nobody forgets this viral play that happened between the Warriors and the Mavericks last week. All 5 Mavericks players were lined up on the opposite side of the court, which led to an easy bucket by the Warriors. Obviously, this play is viral due to the funny and unique nature of this play. I mean, how often do you see teams completely line up on the wrong side of the court? But another aspect why this is talked about a bunch is the fact that the Warriors won this game by only 2 points. This one basket had a complete altering effect on the game, which could have completely changed the outcome of who won. And to add on to this, the Dallas Mavericks have actually filed to the NBA a formal protest of their loss to the Warriors. They are hoping that maybe the NBA will change the outcome of this game or allow a replay of the final moments of the game to happen. You may be wondering, why is this game actually being protested? Wasn't it just a dumb play that the players and the coach did not figure out? Well, to get background on this play, the ref originally called an out-of-bounds ball on Golden State, so it would have been Dallas's possession. However, during the review, the referee switched the call, saying that it was out on Dallas, giving Golden State possession. Now, the Dallas players had no idea that this call had just been changed. The referees didn't go back and tell Dallas that they should be playing defense. To add to the confusion, the other referee also did not know this call had been changed himself, as he was still on the other side of the court, ready to officiate the court of play, which was the side that all the Dallas players were defending on. By refereeing rules, the official should be on the side of the court that the play is occurring. So no doubt the Dallas players also got thrown off when seeing the official on that side of the court. That being said, only one ref and the Warriors offense knew about this possession change, leading to possibly the most open basket in NBA history. So as you can clearly see, the refs had a huge implication on this play, as they did not do their job properly at all. And it definitely makes sense to why the Mavericks would like a protest on this game due to this one bucket that could have changed the complete outcome of the game. Now you may be wondering if these official NBA protests actually work. Does the NBA ever replay games due to a successful protest? Believe it or not, there have been 44 total formal protests in NBA history. However, only 6 of these protests have been successful. Funny enough, the most recent protest before this incident also involved the Dallas Mavericks, as they protested a loss to the Hawks in 2020. They did not win this protest, so people are wondering if Mark Cuban will once again fail another protest. But let's take a deep dive into the most recent successful protest in NBA history. It's December 19th, 2007. The Miami Heat and the Atlanta Hawks are gearing up to what seems to be just a normal regular season game. And for the most part, it was. The game saw play from all the team's best players. From the Heat, we had Dwayne Wade, Haslam, Shaq. On Atlanta, we had Al Horford, Joe Johnson, Josh Smith. And for the first 4 quarters, the game was going back and forth. Nothing out of the ordinary here. At the end of the 4 quarters, the game was tied, sending it into overtime. And overtime is where the true controversy started. With under a minute left, the game was extremely close. The Atlanta Hawks had a 3-point lead, 114 to 111. But with 52 seconds left in the game, Shaquille O'Neal got whistled for a foul, fouling him out of the game, being sidelined for the remainder of overtime. Now, this seems like a normal fouling out, right? Except for the fact that this actually was not even Shaq's 6th foul. It was his 5th. He should not have been fouled out in this situation. Apparently, the Atlanta Hawks official scorer accidentally tallied an extra Shaquille O'Neal foul at 3 minutes 24 seconds in the 4th quarter. That was a foul actually called against Udonis Haslem. Therefore, Shaq had one more foul on his box score than he did in reality, fouling him out when he only received his 5th foul. Now, the removal of Shaquille O'Neal was major in this game. He's Miami's 2nd best player at this point, as well as the fact that his big man presence was very much needed in crunch time. Shaq at that point of the game had 16 points, 7 rebounds on an efficient 67% shooting. He easily could have been an X factor to steal this game for the Miami Heat in overtime. However, Miami lost a huge X factor due to this mistally. The rest of the game proceeded with Shaquille O'Neal on the sideline, and Atlanta continued to win the game 117 to 111. So obviously, the Miami Heat were not going to let this loss slide. They were going to protest this game. And lucky for them, the NBA actually found a reason to replay this game. The NBA decided that the final 52 seconds of that game, which is from the point that Shaquille O'Neal fouled out and on, would be replayed prior to the next scheduled game between the two teams, which would be on March 8th, 2008. So they'd quickly play the minute of the previous game, have a 15-minute break, and then start their whole new game that would happen on March 8th. A super interesting event in NBA history, and in my opinion, one of the coolest occurrences in NBA history. So they continued the game, 52 seconds left. One thing to keep in mind is that Shaquille O'Neal actually was traded away to Phoenix at the time of this replay. So the man himself who caused this whole problem of fouling out doesn't even get to play in this replay. The whole reason they're replaying the game is that Shaq, a main part of the Heat, did not play for the remaining 52 seconds. But in the long run, during the replay, he still could not play because he's on a completely different team. So with all that said, the final 52 seconds were played, and neither team scored during the replay game. So Miami's protest, while it was a successful protest, it did absolutely nothing for them, and they ended up losing that game regardless. The Miami Heat would also go on to lose that original game that night against Atlanta, which means that the Heat lost 2 games in one night. Imagine having 2 losses tallied to your team's standings in one night of play. And I guess you also could consider the Atlanta Hawks won a game without scoring a single point, which sounds like a really Atlanta Hawks thing to me. And one other really fun fact about this game is that one of the elements of Shaquille O'Neal's trade to the Suns, the Heat received Shawn Marion back. The Suns played the game on that original night of the Hawks-Heat game, and all the stats from the replayed Hawks-Heat game were counted on that original night. So that means that Shawn Marion is one of only a couple of players to be credited for playing on 2 different teams on the same NBA night, the Suns and the Heat. So after all of that effort to get the game replayed, it ended up not mattering at all. However, this was not the only game to be replayed. This was just the most recent event that I thought we'd cover because it's the most relevant to today's NBA. But there were 5 other replayed NBA games. There was a Lakers-Spurs game replayed in the '83 season, a Hawks-Warriors game in the 1953 season, a Hawks-Bulls game in the 1970 season, and as you can see, for some reason the Hawks are included in a lot of these replayed games. The Cavaliers and Braves, yes, that was a basketball team, in the '72 season, and the Nets and Sixers in the '79 season. 2 of these replayed games actually changed the outcome of the game. The 1953 Warriors and the 1983 Spurs reversed their losses into wins after these replayed games. So that means after the 44 attempted protests of the games, only 2 of these games have been reversed. So while there's only a 14% success rate that a protested game will be replayed, there's an even smaller 5% success rate that this replay actually has an impact on the result of the game. So this just goes to show that the process of protesting a game usually is not worth it. Also, when you include the fact that it is an automatic $10,000 fine to even begin to protest a game, unless it's successful and then they refund the $10K. Obviously, to some of these owners, that's worth a penny. But still, it isn't really a good look when you try to make all these efforts in protesting a game when nothing happens in the long run. One final fun fact about these replayed games is about the Nets-Sixers game in the 1979 season. From the time the original game was played and the replay of the game, these 2 teams actually traded with each other. 3 players, Harvey Catchings, Eric Money, and Ralph Simpson, were all credited for playing for both teams during this game. And the best part, Eric Money actually scored for both teams in this game, meaning that Eric Money is the only player in NBA history to score points for both teams during a single game. He recorded 23 points for the Nets originally, and then 4 points for the 76ers in the replayed game. Weird NBA is fun, that's for sure. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys did enjoy this detailed look into these replayed games, these protested games, and seeing how most of the time they don't work out. But when they do work out, some really fun aspects and events, and even NBA fun facts take place when they do allow these games to be replayed. I personally am a fan of replaying these games. I just think it's a lot of fun, and it helps the results of these games to be a little bit more genuine. I do not think that the NBA will grant a replay to the Dallas Mavericks. I just don't see them doing it. There have been way more crazy instances of games that were messed up by the refs that have been protested and failed. One example, I'm sure everybody remembers the viral clip of James Harden's dunk going in, but the way it went in, it looked like the rim popped it back out, but it was actually it spitting out the bottom of the net. Either way, you're seeing the replay on your screen right now, so you know what I mean. This play in particular was protested because this game went into double overtime. This one basket had huge implications on the game as well, and in my opinion was a worse missed call than this Mavericks example we see, and it was closer to the end of the game. Either way, I'm just bringing up one example that was not overturned, so I think if that's not overturned, this certainly won't be. Obviously, the NBA can be very inconsistent with decisions they make, so at the same time, if they do replay the game, it isn't completely whack to think that they might replay the game. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Also, make sure to leave a like on the content. It helps it get recommended to more people. You guys are awesome, and I thank you guys so much for all the support we've seen on the channel recently. You guys are the best. Make sure to comment any video suggestions that you want to see me make, and I will see you guys in the next Heaps video.